We're ready. I would like to call this regular meeting of the Texarkana County, Arkansas Board of Directors to order. A couple of housekeeping items. If you have your cell phone with you, we would appreciate it during the course of the meeting if you would silence your cell phones. Second, if you wish to address the board tonight during citizens communication time, there's some slips on the ledge there. You can fill those out. We'll take those in order that we receive them. You can get those to the city clerk so you can get them to me. And we'll have a record of you speaking tonight. Outside of that, we will have the roll call.
Director Minor?
Here.
Director Roberts?
Here.
Director Harris?
Here.
Assistant Mayor Hollibush?
Here.
Director Brewer?
Here.
Director Brown, Mayor Brown?
Yes, here.
And Jeff Hart is absent.
Okay, at this time, we'll stand for our invocation, which will be given tonight by Assistant Mayor Stephen Hollibush. Our Pledge of Allegiance will be led by our Bi-State Justice Building Maintenance Manager, Christine Barron.
Let us pray. Lord, thank you for the incredible honor to serve the people of this community. Lord, we pray that you would be with us as we make decisions that concern all the citizens of Texarkana. We pray that you would give us wisdom to make decisions that are going to benefit all the people in the community. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. So at this time, we'll move right on into our citizens communication time. I have one card here from a board member. Is there anyone else that wishes to address the board tonight during citizens communication time? Anyone here wish to address the board? If not, I'll call on Director Minor.
Thank you. Would you like to go down there?
You don't have to if you don't want to.
Do whatever you want.
I have two things that are bothering me, no more than two. Litter is one of them. I have picked up tons of litter just in my ward, in other people's wards. And I know you're not the ones doing it, but if there's anything that you can do in your neighborhood, your street, talk to your kids, talk to your kids' friends, please do so. This is litter to me. I have noticed this. I walk my dog in my ward, in my neighborhood. I live in, I should have said, I live on Sevenwood Place, Texarkana, Arkansas. These lie in people's yards all the time. They don't pick them up. It's the short midweek paper that we get. Ulysses, help me.
It's not meant for
See
you
how
to get
helpless
into.
I am here. I didn't realize it was going to be that difficult. But, it has a few ads, grocery ads, and I don't look at it. I am a paper reader. I have a laptop at my house, but this is my Sunday paper that I get. It's double rubber banded, and this is the way it comes out. And I can hardly read it. So I'm not fussing at you, I'm not fussing at anybody but the Texarkana Gazette. I wish they would do something if they can. Whether they can, I don't know, but those things bother me, and litter bothers me a lot. I am in the last 4 meetings of my term. My term ends in December, and I have enjoyed it immensely. It's 8 years. I never thought I'd be here 8 years, and you probably didn't think I'd be here 8 years either. But anyway, I thank the people who put me here, and I've enjoyed my time. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have 2 minutes.
Is there anyone else, Director Harris?
You're my friend.
First of all, what I'm about to read, and I would like to thank the governor of Arkansas for this proclamation that you as a citizen of Arkansas, you is allowed 2 proclamations a year. And it's basically, you can put them in on their website, and it's final approval of the wording by the staff of the governor, Asa Hutchins. So this is, I guess, the last proclamation that I have the honor to have his signature with, which I've been doing since he been in, maybe his second term he been in office. So, but I go ahead and read it. It's to whom all these present come greeting. Whereas the state of Arkansas and our citizens recognize and greatly appreciate the contribute in the local business and industry to the overall strength, character, and well-being of our state, and where the resident of Arkansas as well as the visitor to our city and town benefit daily from various service, product, agriculture, and forestry, aerospace, manufacturing, mining, technology, and other accommodation provided by business and industrial section throughout the natural state. And 5 Arkansas companies has been named to the Fortune 500 list for 2022. Arkansas is staking this claim in what happened expected to be $1 trillion advanced air mobile AAM market, as illustrated by the recent creation of the Arkansas Council of Future Mobilization. And our local business and industries, from the largest to the smallest, provide employment and wages, benefit, and economic stability to thousands of families, employees, and their families. And Arkansas citizens continue to gain a profound and positive returns from the business and industrial sector, council act, charity, and support for community projects and nonprofits to reach out to every part of our population. And Business and Industrial Appreciation Month in the state of Arkansas provide an opportunity for cities, towns, and citizens to recognize and celebrate the contribution local business and industrial section make in our daily lives. Now, therefore, I, H. Hutchinson, Governor of the state of Arkansas, by virtue and vested in me by the laws of the state of Arkansas, do hereby proclaim November the 22nd as Business and Industrial Month in Arkansas. And across the state, I ask every citizen to join me in cities and towns to celebrate the richness, the diversity, and the success of our business and industrial community. And it got whereas testimony I hereby signed by the Great Seal of the state of Arkansas this 4th day of October in our Lord, and signed by Governor H. Hutchinson and John Thurston, State Secretary of State. And thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that wishes to address the board? Seeing and hearing none, we'll move on into our presentations. Tonight, we have our first presentation will be our City Employee Service Awards. At this time, I would like to recognize our city manager has a certificate and a pin for you. I will recognize those that I'm told are present, and then we also have some that could not be with us tonight. We'll recognize those as well. First on the list with Texas County Water Utilities is Mr. Thomas Durham, 5 years. I did it wrong. I'll do it. I was. Next is with the Texas County Water Utilities is James Wissenhunt III. These next employees will be with the Texas County, Arkansas Fire Department. Mr. Larry Cook, 15 years. Jason Carroll, 20 years. Michael McKee, 20 years. Jim Wall, 20 years.
Get a black shirt.
Mr. Vincent Johnson, 30 years.
Wow.
Is there anyone else here that we are on the list that we didn't know you were here? Okay, at this time, I'd like to recognize also with the Texarkana, Arkansas Fire Department, Brian Irvin for 20 years. With the police department, we have, I hope I get this right, Justica Magasley is 5 years, Landon Lowe is 5 years, and Thomas West is 15 years. So y'all give them a round of applause. Now, before I get to Paul's presentation, I skipped over a proclamation I need to read. I apologize for that. So at this time, I'd like to read a proclamation for Small Business Saturday. Small Business Saturday, November the 26th, 2022. Whereas the government of Texarkana, Arkansas celebrates our local small businesses and contributions they make to our local economy and community, and whereas 3/4 of the United States consumers are currently looking for ways to shop small and support their community, and whereas 96% of the consumers who shopped on Small Business Saturday agree that shopping at small, independently owned businesses supports their commitment to making purchases that have a positive social, economic, and environmental impact, and 97% of the customers who shopped on Small Business Saturday agree that small businesses are essential to their community. And whereas 95% of the consumers who shopped on Small Business Saturday reported the day makes them want to shop or eat at small, independently owned businesses all year long, not just during the holiday season. And whereas Texarkana, Arkansas supports our local businesses that create jobs, boost our local economy, and preserve our communities, and whereas advocacy groups as well as public and private organizations across the country have endorsed the Saturday after Thanksgiving as Small Business Saturday, and whereas participating partners include the City of Texarkana, Arkansas, City of Texarkana, Texas, Main Street Texarkana, Texarkana Chamber of Commerce, Greater Texarkana Young Professionals, the Small Business Development Center, and partners from locally owned or small businesses in the Greater Texarkana area have partnered to promote small businesses. And whereas the participating partners will launch a scavenger hunt, encouraging consumers to visit locally owned or small businesses within Texarkana between November the 18th of 2022 to December the 3rd of 2022. Consumers will search for hidden elves in participating businesses and scan a QR code attached to the elf, prompting them to fill out a form and enter to win a variety of prizes. Consumers are also encouraged to show their support by using the hashtag ShopSmallTXK22 when they visit local businesses this holiday season. Now therefore, I, Alan Brown, Mayor of the City of Texarkana, Arkansas, do hereby proclaim November the 26th, 2022 as Small Business Saturday, and I urge the residents of our community and communities across the country to support small businesses and merchants on Small Business Saturday and throughout the year. It's signed by myself and our city clerk, Heather Sawyers. Jamie, I think you were going to accept this?
Yes. Thank you, and I just want to let everyone know the prizes are awesome, so you really should go look for those L's.
I'm gonna get a picture of y'all real quick. 1, 2, 3. All right. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Now we'll move into a presentation by our airport director.
Good evening. Let's see if this clicker works.
Is it on?
I think, let's see. Yes, it is. Okay. So tonight I will bring you good news, then bad news, and we'll end with a happy story. So we will end good. So as you know, we're getting ready for next year's budget, and as part of that, we had to look at the fact that the terminal building, back when we had originally priced everything out, the world pretty much ended and everything went up in cost. So the total project went from being approximately $25 million to being about $50 million. The good news on that was that the FAA covered the majority of those prices, and so what would happen is the grants became higher, but then our match, where it was 10%, went higher as well. We used our 3 rounds of the CARES Act to offset those costs. So we're getting down to the end of it, and we're finding that the last piece, which is the parking lot, is the one piece that is not FAA funded. And so that piece, we had gone to the cities, and each side put money towards doing the parking lot. So we had received $1.9 million from the Texas side, and the $1.6 million which we had gotten from the American Rescue grant through the city. At the point where we sit now, we have a delta of $2.6 million to finish out all of the parking lot. Now, $1 million of that is an art piece sculpture. So if I say we're going to go out and try to get private funding for that, then that would mean the construction is $1.6 million, which means I would need to go and get approximately $1 million from Texas and about $650,000 from Arkansas.
Part of the question.
Yes.
For this parking lot, is this for the existing, or will this be a new parking lot?
This is a new parking lot for the new terminal, and
All right.
I'll show you. So let me first cover just the art piece itself that we're looking at. There are 2 world-renowned artists, Dick Idle and Vic Payne. This will be the last art piece that Dick Idle does. He's getting older, but he is well known for his bronze work. We are looking at involving the Caddo Indian Nation as part of it as well, so that way the art piece can honor them. We can have something that helps tie into our local community, and also see if there's funding opportunities through that.
What
And
was the
that-
price on them?
Yes.
What was the price on those again?
$1 million.
$1 million.
For each one?
No, for the total, so the actual bronze work itself is about $500,000, and then the landscaping piece to keep it there with the lighting, plumbing, things like that, is about $500,000. So it comes to $1 million total. So we're working on getting private funding for that
Okay,
side.
all right.
I'm not coming to the city to fund that.
All right.
This is an image of what the new parking area will look like. The road, as it currently goes now, comes up and ends right at the fire station. So we are going to have to complete the rest of the road around, put in the parking, we have to put in lighting, an access control system with the gates, and then stormwater, where we'll have a retention pond down here to make sure that the new kind of sheet flow that comes off of the parking lot doesn't go and create more flooding problems in Nix Creek.
Awesome. I have a question. So that looks like it's going to be all concrete, right?
A lot of the road going around is concrete. The actual parking lots themselves are asphalt. There will be some concrete in there for, some of the walkways and things like that.
Paul?
Yes, sir.
The houses that are, as you go into the entrance to the airport now, as they become uninhabitable, they're just being torn down, correct?
Yes, so the homes that's on the other side.
Yes.
We will do in our master plan a demolition schedule, because we will need to remove several of the old military things. Like, one of the big ones is the movie theater. Its roof's collapsed. And we'll need to do a schedule to do that, because there's a lot of buildings that need to be removed. But that will then allow for development. We'll have to kind of plan that out.
Just forward thinking, is that something that the cities are going to have to come up with, or federal funds take care of that, or?
There are some opportunities with like Brown site funding for some of that area. Some of it we will come to the city, because we know that there are other areas where blight is being taken care of, and we may be able to partner with that to help lower those costs. But right now, those houses are revenue generating. We will keep them occupied until we have another revenue source to replace that, or until maintenance becomes high, and we don't want to end up having to pay more money and end up losing out of it.
I have another question. What's the mileage, what's the acreage on that parking lot that's going to the circumference there?
I actually do not know the acreage of the circle itself. I can come back to you with that. I will bring that. We are also going to be integrating into it covered solar parking. We're doing this for multiple reasons. One is to help offset the electrical usage of the terminal building itself and keep the utility costs down. It allowed us to access other grants that could be used for the solar portion. And it also then provides us with some infrastructure, so as electric vehicles come into the market, we will be able to provide charging at the airport for that. So this, and then it also then provides protection from hail and then shade during the summer. So there will be multiple things about that kind of help.
So as of right now, we don't have, it's not in the plan for the electrical charging for the vehicles and all those ports?
Right now, we're only going to initially have two spots,
All right.
but then we want to grow it as,
Yes.
because one of the things that we looked at was every one of these companies have different charging plugs. And so just like on your computer, in a few years, there can be a different adapter. And so we don't want to invest a lot of infrastructure that ends up changing. So we're going to start small, and then we'll kind of grow with the market on that.
All right, thanks.
So to try to help offset the coming back to the city and asking for additional funds, what I am asking is to allow us to sell the naming rights of the terminal building. So we have an interested party. We are seeking between $2.7 and $3 million. If we're able to do this, then we would be able to close out the project without having to get any additional funds from the two cities. So right now, we are, for the conversation's sake, it would be between a 30 and 50-year deal. And that would mean that down the road, it would revert back that the cities would essentially have the opportunity to sell the rights again in another generation without locking it up forever. So once I have that final agreement of the exact number of years and the exact dollars, I will come back to the cities to get the approval for that sale. But I did want to approach you all today to just make sure I got any comments or concerns from you before I enter those negotiations, so that way I don't have to have a lot of back and forth.
Will we be able to see that before you come to the?
Yes, so once we kind of go through the negotiation, I can certainly send it to the city, it will be reviewed.
Yes.
But then it would finally have a vote between both cities to adopt it.
I got a question. How
Yes,
did
sir.
you go about this with the naming? Only one company came to you, or did you put this out and say, hey, if you come and pay us, we can let you have the name of this airport?
So it's not the airport in total, it's just the terminal building.
Okay.
But yes, what we did was, we did have some conversations, mostly with prominent families in the area that have connections to the airport. And so at this point, we haven't opened it up for like a bidding process, but we've spoken to, at this point, we have a single interested party.
And if you did have a bidding process, do you think you can get more opportunities or more, or what? Or
the-
you just further leave that alone? And
Right, that's one of those,
what's the rationale behind you not opening it up? Because I'm looking at something that happened that the city had, and somebody was telling me, hey, we didn't know you was doing that, and by the time we found out, you already had a deal or a contract with this person, and then how were we able to get involved in it? So that's what I'm asking.
right.
If you just went in with just this one person and then some other company, I'm just saying, you said it's a local person, just say for instance, some big name company, just say if Amazon or Walmart wanted to come and put their name on the terminal, a bigger name brand than someone, I'm hearing you saying some local.
Yes.
Family. So what if some company like Walmart or Amazon wanted to come and wanted to have that opportunity to do that? And weren't you already just locked in with the local person?
Yes, so there's a couple things there. So certainly, if I were to say, we want to try to maximize what we can get. However, if we say, look, we want to just put it out there, that one family might withdraw, and then I'll be coming to the two cities for the funding. So I would say, certainly we do. We want to make sure that we're getting the value for it. I don't have a line of people banging down my door for naming rights. I try to remember who I am. Yes, this building will be prominent. It will be beautiful, and it will be the first impression for the city. But also, I have that try not to look a gift horse in the mouth. To say we have a problem and we are trying to solve it. We're not trying to rake somebody over the coals to get a big pile of money that we can use for later.
I'm looking at the opportunity.
Right.
Some type of firmness in the process that you're doing.
And certainly, through these, I'm briefing you this week, I'm briefing the Texas side next week. If there are other interested parties, I would ask that they do approach us. If we hear none, then what I would be doing is trying to work out that negotiation so I can bring it back. If we do have two interested parties, then we would certainly go to the one who's going to give the most favorable terms to the airport.
Okay.
All right. Any questions?
No, that's
Okay,
Any good?
that's it.
Thanks, Paul, for all you do.
Are citizens allowed to say anything here?
Not usually,
I just thought he might
but you're going to say it anyway, so what's the difference anybody?
let y'all know, to be sure it's not Nicola Ultra or something like that, everywhere.
Maybe good to know the name.
All right. Moving right along, we'll go into our consent agenda. On our consent agenda tonight, we have item 4 and 5. Item 4 is approval of the minutes of the regular meeting, October 17th. Item 5 is to adopt a resolution approving the reimbursement of $38,100 to the Texarkana Regional Airport from our American Rescue Act funds. What is the board's desire on the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
So we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion carries. So moving right along, we have several items on our agenda tonight. We'll start with item number 6. This item was tabled on the previous meeting, October the 17th. It's to adopt a resolution requesting the Miller County Quorum Court to increase the county road levy to a maximum of 3 mills.
Mayor, board members, if you remember, this is in relationship to the current millage that's charged for streets in our county, in which the county and the city splits those revenues off that .3 mills is what is currently and that has been in effect since 2007. And so, as we completed our street study, our engineering street study last year, we had an indication that what we had in need was $150+ million worth of street repairs to do in our system. And this is one of the mechanisms that I chose to bring forward to you to consider and to ask the county to consider this as part of moving our street improvement and rehabilitation projects forward. Also, we'll probably bring some recommendation to you in the budget process as well in relationship to starting some kind of bond package, if you would like, to start some improvements in that $150 million opportunity we have to fix our streets. So this is, I shared with you last time that the .3 mills was about $9 for a house at a value of $150,000. And if you raised it to the maximum, which is what we are asking them to consider, that same $150,000 house would pay $90 per year in taxes. So you can understand that that's a substantial increase. That money is split between the county and the city. $600,000 would come to the city and $400,000 to the county for its road and bridge repair as well. So this is a request that goes from us to the quorum court and ask them to consider raising the millage. I've had some preliminary conversation with a number of the justice of peace officers as well as the judge on the county side, and they were favorable conversations, some with some limited reserve, but again, favorable conversations in which they'd like to move their amount forward for streets. Y'all will remember I shared with you not long after the judge shared with me a conversation she had at the state judges meeting concerning the counties that were not maxing out their ability on their own taxing structures. We're going to be limited in revenues coming from RDOT for other street and road improvements in the system. So that was part of the message that started this conversation, was that we might not get any state funds if we don't take care of our own ability to tax ourselves first. And then hopefully we'll be able to utilize that in relationship to state match and other improvements as well. That's all I have for you.
Yes.
I had made the motion last time that we tabled this, and I want to make the same motion this time, but I'll table it indefinitely, at least till January, till they've set the millage, and the reason being, when we were looking at our water rate increases and anything else, the county didn't have a say in that. And ultimately, the decision is the quorum courts, not the city boards. And I don't feel as a board, we should be getting involved in another entity's way they handle their business. I think each one of us, if we have our preference, we each have JPs in our ward that we can speak to individually. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. But as a whole, I don't think it is appropriate that we endorse something that we have no idea what they're going to do, what their situation is, or anything of that matter. And I hate to lose state funding. I know the mayor's been involved with school issues where you lose matching funds, but it's a lot of money to put on somebody right now in these times. And I don't think that we should have an opinion on that. I think that is a quorum court decision, and that's what they're elected to do, not the city board.
I got a question, I don't know who can answer this. Ma'am.
Yes.
Just really, how is this supposed to work? I don't know.
That's
Kind
what
of look, that you got 3 mills already on the table that they can go up to? What they got on the table now?
The state limit is 3 mills, and we're .03. We're 10 times below what the maximum allowed for street and road repairs is for the county millage. The county max allowed under state statute right now is 3 mills.
But is this all in the county control?
It's paid by city and county residents, and it's split based on the number of residents that pay it, the way I understand it. So we get a larger portion of that money than the county does because we have more residents, more citizens that live in the city limits than in the county.
But is this?
But it's controlled by the county, and the money is funded to the county, and then in sense passed through to us.
We have no vote in the matter.
And basically, we just telling them, that's all the resolution just saying, that's what we want you to do.
I would say the resolution would be a support of that, yes.
But at the final end of the day, it's up to the county to make that decision.
Both, if the county doesn't pass it, it's not going to be effective.
It's not being affected anyway, we just.
That's the way I understand it. Director Roberts is correct.
Okay, and
Just for clarification, I think without everything going back and forth, so I understand the command authority to pass this is going to be the quorum courts, right? And we're just giving support, or they're wanting support, is that correct?
This is a resolution asking for us to show that we're in support of changing that millage rate.
Any other discussion? I would just like to make one comment that I do agree with Director Roberts, is that I would not support the resolution tonight. One of the things that I wanted to do after the last meeting certainly was try to clarify, because I have been on the opposite side of several things to where the city and the school district has lost matching funding. It's my understanding that in reaching out to our state senator, our state representative, the Association of Counties, as well as the Municipal League, there is no movement to reduce funding. Certainly, your funding is going to be less because you're only going to get that .03 basis points match, and you could get up to a 3 basis points match. But I don't see any movement. So I would just like to clarify, just for my purpose, I don't see that as a reason to pass it. I don't see any reason that we're in jeopardy of losing any type funding. We're leaving money on the table, but we, just by not passing that, we're not jeopardizing any future funds that we would have from RDOT for that. So anybody finds out anything to the contrary, then we can discuss that later, because that does, in my opinion, have a huge bearing on whether you need to support something or not. When you have free money that's coming to you, free money, matching money that's coming to you, then you certainly need to look at opportunities to do it. But as I've said before, this is 10 times. This will be 10 times what you're paying right now. So you go back and look and you're paying $45 to the county, you're going to automatically be paying $450 to the county if this passes, and I don't think that it's a good time to do it right now for our citizens based on things that we've done this year, and those are things that we really had to fix that I supported. But I can't support this time, and I'll defer to the city attorney too as far as making a motion to table it indefinitely, or should we just vote it down, or if we vote it down, I mean, some people some board members might support it tonight, but.
I don't know, if it's not ready to vote, then it's not time to bring it for an issue. It was tabled last time. I don't know what the minutes said. I don't have it here if it went back and if there was a certain date, but if you want to make that clear, I don't see any harm in saying it's indefinite now, and very often that's the way it's done.
Well, the only reason, I mean, you have a quorum court, you have a school board, you have the city board, and I mean, if it were up to me, I would have vocational classes running out whichever way you could, because there are none, but we have an elected school board to do that. And I think if we're getting involved in it's an overreach by the board to go to put our opinion out for somebody when we can pick up the phone. We are their representatives for the city. They are our representatives for the county. Pick up the phone and let them know how you feel. But I don't think that we as a board need to let them, we don't need to do anything that is going to tie us with what the county's decision is, because the county's decision is the county's decision. That's why there's 11 districts in the JP. 11 members are going to decide that, not the ones up here.
The minutes reflect a motion to table and a 6-0 vote. That's all the minutes reflect, as the motion was tabled by
Well,
6-0.
you know, we could argue about it being indefinite or not. It's probably pretty strong that it is, but if you want to make it clear that it's indefinite and take
Well,
it off,
can we
I
do it
don't
till-
have any objection to, or any legal objection to what you're doing.
I got a question. I'm making it indefinite, what about the, which I don't see it coming, well, what is, for some reason, after 180 days, somebody want to bring it back, so
It's an
I'm
ordinance.
not saying,
Well, I
You're
tell you
not
what,
voting on it, you're not acting on
Acting.
it. 180-day rule is not going to apply.
I'll amend my motion to December 31st, 2022, because they have to have the millage set prior to that date.
I don't think you have to have a date. I think you just say
I'd be
indefinite.
comfortable with indefinite. I mean, and if anybody wants to bring it back, they can bring it back, but,
That's right.
you know, just to echo the sentiment of,
So we have a motion to table the
Second.
millage increase indefinitely. Is there a second?
I'll say.
So we have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? Could you call the roll, please?
Minor,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
yes.
Hollabush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes. The resolution is tabled indefinitely. Item number 7 is to adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager to seek proposals for Amendment 78 financing for capital improvements for the Front Street Stage Plaza project and to amend the FY 2022 general fund budget to increase that funding amount for associated allocations. Ms. Henderson.
Good afternoon, Mayor Brown, Board of Directors, and City Manager, Mr. Ellington. During the 2022 budget process, the board allocated $400,000 to the Front Street Plaza project with the intent of borrowing those funds to pay for this project. Due to rising costs and additional parts of the project, we are requesting that the allocation be increased to $650,000 and permission to seek proposals for Amendment 78 financing for capital improvements in said amount. Are there any questions?
The parts of that project that, I guess initially caused the increase, what are they?
They are additional fencing around the projects and some bollards
Oh, the
to,
bollards.
for traffic control.
Okay. Yes,
Yes,
Dr.
sir.
Harris.
Now, what is this, what is this basically what this doing? Is it the stage or is it well, what is you exactly doing?
So this is for the stage project, and outside of the stage project, it is the fencing and then the bollards for traffic control at that area.
The reason why I went out there this morning just to take a look at that, and I noticed some things like you was putting some concrete, hole, I'm assuming, I don't know for sure, if that's.
By the
Those are your
stage.
ballards.
Those are the,
Those are your ballards.
No, that's part of the stage.
BEO.
That's what he's talking about, the stage.
Okay.
And what is that doing, and what is that gonna do? Because I'm hearing that it's not gonna be a permanent stage, but yeah.
Footings for the roof structure, going over the stage, going in first, yes.
And what is the, and what type of return the city is trying to get from this? I guess because, and what, I know you've been mentioning something about well, another question come to my mind. Have anyone ever talked to town square media in regard to any of this, what's going on down there?
I'm not sure
The
specifically.
reason I'm saying town square media, a while back, they was having, they was bringing a person in. I can remember one person that came, they brought in was Chase Rice. At that time, he was a big name person that they brought in, town square media. And he was down there at that area there with the stage there. So, and I don't know what type of return and how much it costs for them to get that person in there. And I'm just trying to see is the amount of money that we putting down there is what type of return and what is the sole objective? Because I'm also, noticed that you've been in your notes talking about an agreement with, Crossroads. Do that agreement have anything to do with the stage and that per se down there? Because, why wouldn't that stay is it gonna stay, make a long story short, is it gonna stay within, under the city control, or somebody else gonna be having a part control of it? That's the question I'm trying to ask. Because we talking about spending almost close to over $500,000, and I don't wanna see spending $500,000 on something, then you basically getting control of the area to somebody just because they got land adjacent to it.
Yes, sir. The concept for the use area is a private-public partnership. Will require a contract operation with both Cross Ties and with 1894, who are both inside that area, who both own property inside the designated Festival Plaza area. So this is truly, you will see two agreements coming shortly. I'm currently working some contract negotiations with both of those folks. And this, inside the plaza area will be controlled by the city. It will have a contract for users. They will pay for that use by the day. And then our relationship that we have with the private operators will be for them to support us when we have a concert or a use in that area.
And in what form are they gonna need support? I know this may be somewhat jumping the gun, but, I would like to see, like I say, a little more detail because, and the reason why I'm saying this is I noticed that someone used to have used to do food truck downtown, and basically, people surrounding her was more involved in her food truck business. So she decided to move that out to the fairground based on how she was treated downtown. And basically now, at the last food truck, of which I went out there with, you would think that it was the fair was going on, because it was, in the long run, it probably did her good by going out to the fairground based on the area that she went to, but it was just how she was basically I'm trying to think of a good word, I ain't gonna say she was forced out from doing business downtown, but basically, that's what it appeared to be from my conversation with her and how she was treated with that. But now, like I said, it's one of the most, I went to the one had at the fairground last time. I can't remember what it was. Yeah, September the 24th. It was a real big area, and lots of people was down there. But my thing is it we use taxpayer dollars, and we're using almost over $1 million. And what type of control I'm seeing that what the city gonna have over this stage and over this. So, and what, like I say, I would like to see more detail as to what Cross-Tide, and then you said that other business gonna have in this, because, at the end of the day, we using taxpayer money.
Mr. Harris, I'd be glad to meet individually with you and give you the details that I'm working through currently in our discussions with our private operators. So we're still negotiating, talking about how, whether we'll have percentages of gross sales, whether we'll have a daily rate fee for food vendors, and how that will work. So we are still negotiating and having those discussions. But they will be operating inside our area, as well as owning and controlling a portion of that site themselves, because they already have existing operations.
Okay, well, let me ask this question then. I noticed that a fence is down there, a little black fence. As to what point does the city property end and where do begin, where that rail car sits at, where the box car sits at? Because if you go adjacent along that rail car that's sitting there.
The rail car sits on our property.
Okay, it's totally on our property?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so, okay, but as where the fence stops at, what portion of that fence is their property, or is all of the city property?
I'll be glad to bring you in, show you the diagram of the layout and go through that with you.
Yeah, but I would like to see all.
My understanding and my input as far as supporting the Front Street Stage project is really one big thing, and that's for economic development for all of downtown and for our hotels and motels to have venues and things like that. These contracts that I see with people that are already inside this area is to use that property, because we're going to have chairs on that property, we're going to have a number of things. Those businesses are going to prosper with something downtown, because people are going to go in 1894, people are going to go in Cross Ties, people are going to go in our restaurants and things, and we have venues and stuff down here. So those things are, it's about getting everybody on the same page so that we know what everybody's going to be responsible for when we have something. And then let the chips fall where their way is, where they may, as far as you'll have great economic opportunity down there when you have these events. Those events should be controlled by the city. And that's what the plans are, in my opinion. That's what I've talked to the city manager about, that we control those events, but we have to make sure we have all of our bases covered on who's liable for what, who's supposed to be where, and how we control all that, and that should be controlled by the city. Any other discussion?
I just want to be clear, when and if we decide to decentralize our authority to these certain entities, we will know this in advance, or
Well, I'll be bringing a contract recommendation to you with these two entities.
all right?
I would like to say, but
Yeah.
the clarification would be, I don't see us decentralizing our authority.
Well, that's why I want to make sure that we're not doing.
I see us
Right.
enter into agreements so where everybody knows what their authority is, but
But we'll
I
get a
don't see
chance
us
to view
giving
those
that up.
contracts.
I hope
to
we
make sure.
don't.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, all right.
all right. Any other discussion? If not, we could have the city attorney read the resolution.
Whereas the FY 2022 budget contemplates incurrence of indebtedness in the amount of $400,000 for Front Street Plaza improvements. And whereas request is made to amend the FY 2022 budget to increase anticipated indebtedness to $650,000, and further for authority to proceed pursuant to applicable law with a request for proposals for such purpose. And whereas the city manager and staff recommend approval, now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Directors of the City of Texarkana that the FY 2022 budget is hereby amended to increase anticipated indebtedness described above from $400,000 to $650,000, and further, staff is authorized to seek and evaluate proposals for Amendment 78 financing for such purpose and future presentation to the board for consideration. Passed and approved this 7th day of November 2022.
City attorney's read the resolution. What would be the board's desire to adopt?
Motion to adopt.
So have a second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt. Is there any other discussion? Could you call the roll?
Minor,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Yeah.
Hollybush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes, and the resolution passes. Item number 8 is to adopt a resolution to renew agreement with Gabriel Roeder Smith and Company for the actuarial services for the Texarkana, Arkansas Public Employees Retirement System. Ms. Henderson.
The purpose of this agenda item is to adopt a resolution to renew the agreement with GRS for actual services for tapers. The renewal includes the option to renew at the current retainer fee of $22,500 annually through June 2027. The Tapers Committee voted to accept this contract on October 25th, 2022. Are there any questions?
Yes, are there any new adjustments with this contract?
No, there are no changes to
changes.
the contract.
Any other questions? If not, we would instruct the city attorney to read the resolution.
Thank you.
Whereas it's necessary to renew the city's agreement with Gabriel Roeder and Smith and Company for actuarial services for the Texarkana, Arkansas Public Employees Retirement System, and whereas the renewal includes an option to renew the current retainer fee of $22,500 for up to 4 years, whereas the city manager and staff recommend approval. Now therefore be it resolved by the city of Texarkana, Arkansas, that the city manager is hereby authorized to enter into an agreement Gabriel Roder Smith and Company on the terms and conditions and for the purposes described above, pass and approve the 7th day of November 2022.
City Attorney's read the resolution. What would be the desire of the board to adopt?
Motion to adopt?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt. Is there any other discussion? Could you call the roll?
Minor,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hollebush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes, the resolution passes. Item number 9 is to adopt a resolution authorizing city manager into an industry track agreement with Union Pacific Railroad and an agreement and consent to joint use of the track with Cooper Tire. Jay?
Mayor, board members, this is at the request of Cooper Tire in relationship to our ownership of the land in that particular industrial development together. And they are trying to update their relationship on, and actually put some new track in to help them as well for future stuff. So they needed to update this with Union Pacific. So this is what came to us at the request of Cooper Tire.
Jay, I have a question. Are they updating existing equipment, or is going to be new track laid for this?
I think they have some of both.
So-
I think some of it has to do with the new warehouse they've expanded to, getting a rail to it. It's been out there since '64.
Good deal. Do they have a projected start date?
They're waiting on us now, so.
All right.
Have to have permission.
They're ready
Good
to
deal.
go. Yes, sir.
All right.
Any other discussion? Now, we'd instruct the city attorney to read the resolution.
Whereas Union Pacific Railroad Company requests that the city enter into an industry track agreement and an agreement and consent to use of track in connection with expansion by Cooper Tire and Texarkana. And whereas the city manager and staff recommend approval, now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Directors of the City of Texarkana, Arkansas, that the city manager is authorized to enter into the above referenced agreements, pass and approve the 7th day of November 2022.
City attorney's read the resolution. What would be the desire of the board to adopt?
Motion to adopt?
Second.
Motion and a second to adopt. Is there any other discussion? Could you call the roll, please?
Minor,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hollebush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes. The resolution passes. Moving on to our last two items, which item number 10 is an ordinance. It's adopting an ordinance to rezone true tracts of land located in Ward 3 in the 5800 block of East 9th Street from R1 rural residential to A1 mixed use rural zoning in order to build a garage and a shop. Ms. Beck.
Good evening. Well, we finally got to the rezonings. As you can see here, there's two tracts of land, and they're owned by the same property owner, Planning Commissioner Adger Smith. And he would like to have those rezoned to the A1 for the benefits it offers as far as development, being able to have two dwellings on one lot, be able to build a shop without necessarily having a primary dwelling. The property's composed of about a little over 20 acres. You can see the zoning to the north is R4, to the east and west is R1, and on the south is a M2 and a C3, which are salvage yards, auto parts businesses. There's an 8-inch water line along 9th Street. It would be city sewer, and there is a rental property now that operates off from the city sewer, or not the city sewer, the city water, but a Miller County septic system. We notified 5 adjacent property owners. We didn't have any opposition. And Mr. Boots Thomas moved to approve the item at the October 11th meeting, and seconded by Ms. Bertha Dunn, 5-0, with Commissioner Smith recusing himself from that vote. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Any other questions? If not, what would be the desire of the board to adopt?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
So a motion and a second to adopt?
What is it?
Oh, it's the ordinance.
First reading abbreviated form.
Yes.
What would be the desire of the board to have the ordinance read on its first reading?
First reading abbreviated form.
Second.
So a motion and a second to have it read on its first reading in abbreviated form. Is there any other discussion? Could you call a roll?
Minor,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hollabush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
An ordinance amending ordinance number K 286 and for other purposes.
Ordinance has been read on its first reading. What would be the desire of the board to have it read on its second reading?
Second reading abbreviated form.
Second.
So a motion and a second to have it read on its second reading. Is there any other discussion? Could you call the roll, please?
Minor,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hollabush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
An ordinance amending ordinance number K 286 and for other purposes.
Ordinance has been read on its second reading. What would be the desire of the board to have it read on its third and final reading tonight?
Third reading abbreviated form.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to have it read on its third and final reading. Any other discussion? Could you call the roll?
Minor,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hollabush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
An ordinance amending ordinance number K 286 and for other purposes.
Ordinance has been read on its third and final reading. What would be the desire of the board to adopt?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
So I have a motion and a second to adopt. Prior to the board voting to adopt, is there anyone here that wishes to speak for or against this particular ordinance? Seeing and hearing none, could you call the roll, please?
Minor,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hollabush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes, and the ordinance is adopted. Item number 11 is to adopt an ordinance to rezone a quarter section of land located in Ward 3 in the 5100 block of Old Post Road from R1 Rural Residential to M2 General Manufacturing that would allow a one-year conditional use permit for batch concrete asphalt mixing to occur up to 180 days of the permitted time in order to provide materials for renovations to the Texarkana Airport. Ms. Beck.
Yes, sir. As you can see here, this is a full quarter section of 40 acres on Old Post Road. The airport road that goes up to that little circle that we were looking at earlier for the new parking area is right up here. And this batch plant, there's a conditional use permit that will go into effect if this rezoning is approved. It would provide supplies to do the work there. Currently, this property to the north that's zoned R1 is owned by the airport, so it probably will eventually be the M1 zoning. The M2 is required for a batch plant. This is planned to be a temporary operation. The conditional use permit would be in effect for 1 year. There would be 180 days. They probably would only require 90, but the Planning Commission allowed 180 days for actual batch work to occur. So we have a property owner to the right. The other property on the north and south and to the west are vacant properties. And we haven't heard any objections to this request at the Planning Commission meeting. And the development of the land is, like I said, just really restricted at this point and closely tied to what's going on at the airport. I'd be happy to answer any questions, or the applicants are present, I believe.
Does anyone have any questions of Ms. Beck?
Is this for renovation or new construction? Because that was confusing to me looking at the ordinance.
New construction.
Any other questions? If not, what would be the desire of the board to have the ordinance read on its first reading?
First reading abbreviated form.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to have it read on its first reading. Any other discussion? Could you call the roll?
Minor,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hollowbush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
An ordinance amending ordinance number K 286 and for other purposes.
Ordinance has been read on its first reading. What would be the desire to have it read on its second reading tonight?
Second reading, abbreviated form, please.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to have it read on its second reading. Any other discussion? Could you call the roll?
Minor,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hollowbush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
An ordinance amending ordinance number K 286 and for other purposes.
Ordinance has been read on its second reading. What would be the desire of the board to have it read on its third and final reading?
Third and final reading, abbreviated form, please.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to have it read on its third and final reading. Is there any other discussion? Could you call the roll?
Minor,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hollowbush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
An ordinance amending ordinance number K 286 and for other purposes.
So the ordinance has been read on its third and final reading. What would be the desire of the board to adopt?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second to adopt. Prior to the board voting to adopt, is there anyone here that wishes to speak for or against this particular ordinance? Seeing and hearing none, could you call the roll, please?
Minor,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hollowbush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes, and the ordinance is adopted. Moving right along, we'll go into our Board of Directors commentary. Is there any board member that wishes to address the board or the citizens tonight? Terry Roberts.
I just have and I don't know if this would be something that someone in the city could contact. I know the Main Street Christmas parade is the first Monday in December. I try to visit at least one down business every week, and I was in Hearts on Broad, and a lot of them weren't even aware that the Christmas parade was coming. And if someone has like a master email list, because after talking to the owner down there, they usually close at 5. Well, they're going to keep their hours open till 8 o'clock that night, so it creates some foot traffic, may not sell anything, but at least the citizens with that much traffic are going to know what they have to offer and could possibly even come back. If we had like a master list of people, an email list to let them know, hey, this is happening, you might want to consider leaving your business open longer. People are going to be downtown. I don't know if that's something that we would do or
Main
contact.
Street normally. And
Yeah, do you know if they're members of the chamber, some of them, or not of them? You know, Ina's office is in the chamber. We might could start with the chamber.
I mean, I just think it would be a good opportunity for the businesses to stay open later that normally close early, to show what they have to offer.
I'm pretty sure, Mr. Director, that Main Street.
Anyone else?
Information out to all the
Sorry.
members.
Very good.
Director Harris?
Yes. The day when I was driving around the ward prior to the meeting today, and I noticed that they just not cutting grass over there on Senator Street, on Ward 2. But my issue is that it's November, and I know most of these areas that I gave for to be cut was back in June, July, so why is it taking this long to cut areas? Some areas ain't never been cut. I know in the areas I seen over there in Senator, it has been cut, but I don't think it has been cut either. And I know over there in Carmichael Hill area, between 71 State Line, a lot of the area I gave, they have not been cut. And then also south of the Division Street along Victoria, Vernon, and Garfield, it hasn't been cut. So what is going on with the situation with the grass cutting in the wards? But I just don't want to sit up here and complain. I would like to give a solution that I think that if we only just got one tractor, maybe 2 tractors, won't we just buy another tractor during this process, and also having And if so, I would, have two people, two tractors cutting in Ward 1, 3, and 4, then have the other guy with two tractors cutting in Ward, 5, 6, and, let's see, and 5 and 6, and 3. And maybe, if you just dedicate those, two tractors to do the two different wards, it shouldn't take until November to cut in Ward 2, because to me, that don't make a whole lot of sense, that you just not even cutting the areas, in Ward 2, and some areas you ain't even cutting Ward 2. Then my other issue is that, electric lines. I know that there's been a lot of electric lines being cut right now around in, Ward 3 for some obvious reason, but I'm glad it's been done, but I know that, I'm gonna give this for, on the 1100 and 1200 block of Gordon Street. I know I'd asked about 2 years about getting electric lines cutting that, on that street, that it ain't got cut yet. And then my, I'm trying to make this real quick, and I did a FOI request the other day for concrete work. And no, I haven't paid the $1.88 to get the result, but what I did, I went down there just to look at it, and I was just trying to see where have the city did concrete work in different areas for the last 3 years. And so the reason why I looked at that, well, I put in for some sidewalks almost about 3 or maybe 4 years ago coming down Pinehurst Street. Now, I'm seeing people walk with baby carriage and they walking in the street. And so, and I sent an email to Public Works and I asked them, which I'm start doing now on, when I do requests, I'm gonna ask, what is the start date and what is the completion date? Because to me, what's going on is really unnecessary, you know, because if you, I haven't got the FOI request yet just to give a detailed report on how much concrete work, but that's another issue. I don't think I really need to pay money to get something on behalf of my duty. I know just $1.88. Then I also requested all the requests I've put in for the last 4 or 5 years, and that's $3.66. So, and Lane, you don't want to pay $3.66 and $1.88. To me, that's not the point I'm trying to make. The point is, I shouldn't pay for government documents that I need, that I'm doing in the performance of my work. And so I can see what Public Works isn't doing and what they're not been doing. And then my last issue is, I know that I had got an email, I think it was about the CBG plan for next year. My problem on that is that when they do the CBG plan, they really need to go to maybe 2 centers, like Iron Mountain Center, Safe Flat Center, and ask the people there. I think the last one, you had one downtown here at City Hall, nobody showed up. And you had one over there at College Hill Center, nobody showing up. To me, I think you intentionally going to different places where you can't connect with the people. So if you go where the people are at and get input from that, I think you're going to get the response. But maybe that's probably why you're having it at the place you're having it, so you can get the response what you need to be getting. But if you go next year when you does your CBG funding process and get the input, go to the 2 centers in the community over there, Sand Flat Center and Iron Mountain Center, to get input, because we're getting almost, if I'm not mistaken, $627,000 a year, even though about $390,000 going to the rec center. But based on the amount of money we're getting, you know, Ward 2 and 3 should, and maybe Ward 2 and 3 and 1 should be looking a little bit better than what it's been looking at for all these past years, because I just think that another funding source should have came from the recs for the do the rec. I'm not saying that the rec center should have been done. I'm just saying they should have used money from somewhere else. And I need to understand what CBG money is. People don't understand. That's community block development grant money. We get that each year for based on the amount of low to moderate income people that's in Texarkana, Arkansas. And that's based on when you do your census, and it's come, since we're not an entitlement city, it come through the state. Then the state send the money to the city each year, and we may get that sometime in February. But with the action plan that we get, based on what the city get, it tells the city how the money should be spent. And my last question, last comment is, housing program. You know, I had gave information to the city on, there was some grants opportunity, and I don't know if the city put in forward, but there was, up to $1.6 million that the city could have got for to help fix up housing if you're the age of 62 years or older, to help you stay in your house. Now, I was hearing that, swapper deal is supposed to have put in on behalf of the city. But I know the lady over at Sanflat Center, I'm not gonna call her name because she might not want me to call her name just yet, but she worked for the city for at least 13 years with housing, and I think that that's who we need to be contacting and should we get in a partnership with and trying to do some type of housing program, because right now is, with 13 years with that and the way the housing is going on in the city, especially in Ward 1 or 2, just drive around. The housing is basically, well, I say, make this short here, that's probably why Ward 2 lost 500 people in the last census process, because all the housing that we tearing down, but we not doing nothing to build up the house. I would go to the point that if you building a house in the depressed area, maybe Ward 1, 2, and 3, maybe waive the building permit fee, you know, and maybe that may help get something started. You know. That's it. Thank you.
Yes.
I probably should have addressed this at the last meeting with SWEPCO and the line trimming. And this number is just burning my head, and it probably will be for a long time, and it's Circuit 6570. And it is out of all of the SWEPCO circuits that they serve everywhere, it is the 7th worst performing circuit. Well, 357 Ward 1 residents are on this circuit. And I've been trying for a year, every time in a 1 month time frame, we had 46 power outages in 1 month. They ranged from 2 seconds to hours. And this was an ongoing problem, and Jennifer, yes, and Jennifer Harlan, we have worked together on that, and where they're starting trimming is, it's far to help the citizens in Ward 1 keep their power on. And the circuit, it's not a circuit-based issue more than it is lines, the tree limbs in the lines. The last time they were trimmed was 26 years ago. So there's a lot of growth, and they are having to trim some in Ward 2 and some in Ward 3. And from what Jennifer told me, all of our area needs trimming. But the area that we had was the 7th worst performing circuit pretty much in the state of Arkansas out of everything. And I mean, the wind, if it blew a little bit, the power was out.
Same way in my ward. After this meeting, if you will, let me get Jennifer's number, because I've been inquiring there in the historic district there. I've been inquiring about getting some tree limbs cut.
Well, I can tell you 6570, I don't think I'll ever forget. I should play those as lottery numbers. We've been dealing with it for a year, but we're actually getting results. Jennifer is really a good person to work with, and she's an advocate for us through SWEPCO, and with her tenaciousness, she got us taken care of, which is still about another 21-day project to get it totally finished, but it's going to keep the lights on in that area.
Right. Let me get the total number from you.
Sure.
Any other,
Takes two.
any other board commentary?
I do have a couple of things, I'll be real quick. So this last Saturday at the Iron Mountain Center, we had a ribbon cutting for a new pavilion that Tri-State partnered with me and Pillars and Plants on to get that built in the community. We have J.A. Kirkland Construction, Kenneth Self Legacy Concrete, Red River Ready Mix, Richardson Fence and Patio, Pillars and Plants, Tri-State Iron and Metal, and Texarkana Park and Rec that all kind of came together to build this pavilion. They cleaned up the fence, done some repairs to the basketball court, and replaced some nettings, and cut down a lot of trees, and really made it a nice place. So this is something that the community is going to be able to enjoy for years. And so we're grateful to all those guys that came together to get this thing done and provide that for the citizens. Also, I have been working with a group of people to bring back the Mardi Gras Parade. So we have received permission for that permit, and we are in the early stages of planning for the Mardi Gras Parade. That'll be on February 18th, which will be the Saturday before. So you'll start to see some stuff come out on social media and online as we prepare for that event.
Thank you. Anything else? City managers report.
Mayor, board members, I got several items for you. First, that I did want to tell you that I do have, working with the city attorney, working on 3 contracts, service-based related contracts with Ready and the Chamber and Main Street. You'll remember we had those discussions in the budget last year. It's taken me a while to get these service agreements in place, so we should have those in the near future. The other 2 contract obligations that we're working on are with our private operators with us in the plaza. So there will be one coming with cross ties and one with 1894 as we finish those up. Glad to have any discussion with any of you about what's going in those. So feel free to holler at me and let me know if you have something you would like to see or know some more information before that gets to you. Budget schedule. Hopefully Tyronda's cranking some stuff out, I promise you. So your budget book and operation will be coming to you by the 23rd of this month, so right before Thanksgiving. What I'd like to set the 28th and 29th as workshops, a Monday and a Tuesday. I think we spent a couple of days last year. We'll work on operational stuff and then some capital stuff, so kind of splitting those up a little bit. But hopefully we can get those done as quickly as we can, and then we're not obligated to pass that until our second meeting in December. So we would put that on our agenda to pass it hopefully on the 19th of December. I put at your place tonight the LifeNet report for 22. We have a new president, CEO, Dave Snavely. Dave was here as an operations manager some years ago. He's back here now as the president and CEO of the company. He brought those by today. If you'll remember last year, I asked him to come make a presentation for us. This is the same format of information. If you'd like to have them come back again, please let me know. I'll be glad to bring them back again. But if you have any questions in relationship to that, we talked today about response time and sites that they occupy in off times as well. We talked about the hospitals a little bit today and some of their time that they spend in downtime at the hospitals and not back out in the service mode. So we continue to have conversations about how that operation works. So if you have anything you'd like to share, if you'd like them back in front of you again, I'll be glad to bring them back. We did mention the parade for December the 5th, Main Street Christmas Parade coming. And then I wanted to let you know my plan of work really kind of concentrating on several of our hard task streets, housing, downtown budgets, and contracts is what I'm working on. So those primary functions, that's part of my day-to-day work. Do also have, we're trying to get together with the Solid Waste Committee on the 21st at 5 p.m. prior to our next meeting. Tyler has worked through our operating agreements for.
I had a quick question about that.
Yes, sir.
Don't those contracts expire in September? Is there a reason we're trying to get, are we trying to get them done this year? Or I thought they didn't expire till September.
They do not expire until September. What we were trying to do was hit the first of the year, Mayor, is what we were trying to do. So
We don't have any issues with them that you're aware of or nothing? Okay.
No, sir, not if we don't decide to do that. They can be effective whenever whenever we affect that new contract. If there's any changes in any of the financial stuff, it'll have to have a 60 to 90-day implementation period with it anyway. So we are trying to move this forward as part of our workload to get it out of our way. So I know y'all join me in celebrating Tyronda's success as our chief.
I have something for you.
So I was there with her, and I promise you, she was a little taken back by it, but I promise very deserving of her role that she does for us, and I just think that Arkansas business for recognizing that for our local entities as well.
Outstanding.
The only other item I have, Mayor, is I got to try to get out of here. The Saints are playing tonight, and I need to go. So I'm ready.
You should have started that before.
I only have one question.
Yes, sir.
And when we was talking about CBG funds, what's the overall performance with that operation right now? Is there a waiting list? Is there an extended waiting list? Or is it being fulfilled? Or do we have some expiring issues or for the people that qualify? Is there something out there that we're not fulfilling with that program?
With CDBG?
Yes.
We have a number of people in that program. Most of our work's going through Habitat, and we just met with them about 6 weeks ago now. So they're stepping up their process with us as well. We're looking at trying to adjust some of those housing improvements in the communities. So we're asking them to step up their process, and we're going to be looking for other operators too to help us do more housing rehab in the community as well too.
Okay, yeah. I used to help Habitat out a lot, go and help volunteer.
Sure.
And stuff like that, but yeah, that'd be good.
But they are, and they're always looking for people to help them and try to make sure that they can get some of that. And so our CDBG money is in line with them to help with housing rehab.
Any other discussion? If not, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Could you call the roll, please?
Minor,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hollowbush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes, we're adjourned.